At the wedding reception of my son, my sister raised her wine glass toward his corporate boss and announced to the entire table that I was the unemployed family burden. A sudden hush fell over the room as dozens of eyes turned toward me. I simply forced a smile because I had practiced hiding my shame. What none of them realized was that the executive she was trying to impress had spent years searching for me. My name is Valerie and I am 46 years old. For most of that evening, I stood near the back of the grand hall watching the celebration with a warm drink. I had become very comfortable staying in the shadows lately. 3 years ago, I was always the person at the center of the room directing multi-million-dollar corporate strategies. Now I was just a quiet observer watching my son Julian celebrate his new marriage with his beautiful bride Naomi. Nobody at that party understood the heavy toll of the last few years or the medical bills that emptied my savings. To the guests, I was just the unfortunate sister of Beatrice, a woman who needed charity. Before all of this, I had spent 20 years building a massive career without any family wealth. When my mother received her terminal diagnosis, I chose to walk away from a major partnership to become her full-time caregiver. When our mother became ill, Beatrice flatly refused to help because she was terrified of losing her corporate position. She openly admitted that she could not throw away everything she had built. I volunteered to step in out of pure love, not knowing that society judges a person entirely by their current title. For 2 long years, I managed medication schedules and drove to early morning hospital appointments while my professional network completely forgot I existed. After our mother passed away, my family began speaking about me in the past tense as if my life had ended. Beatrice attended the funeral in expensive clothing and quickly painted herself as the grieving daughter to everyone present. She told our relatives that she was deeply worried about my future because I had lost my way. I realized then that my sister was actively reshaping the narrative to make me look like a total failure. A year later, Julian called to share the wonderful news of his upcoming wedding. Near the end of the conversation, his voice dropped as he asked me not to cause any drama with Beatrice at the event. He explained that his aunt was a senior manager at his new employer, Meridian Strategy Group. My heart ached because my own son was treating me like an embarrassment that needed careful management. I knew Meridian Strategy Group intimately because I had defeated them in major business pitches for over a decade. Years ago, I designed a proprietary consulting framework that became standard industry knowledge. Beatrice had climbed the corporate ladder by utilizing my exact methods without ever knowing her sister was the true architect. I chose not to reveal this to Julian because I did not want to sound desperate for validation before his big day. The rehearsal dinner took place at a luxury restaurant where Beatrice acted like she owned the establishment. She held court near the window, loudly bragging about her close relationship with the chief executive officer, Harrison Vance. She kept glancing at me to ensure I felt inferior to someone who reported directly to such a powerful executive. I sat quietly and sipped my beverage because I had never met Harrison during my time in the industry. During the main course, the mother of Naomi asked me what I did for a living with genuine kindness. Before I could even answer, Beatrice interrupted with a mocking laugh and stated that I had been between things for a very long time. She expertly wrapped her insult in affection so that any defense from me would appear hostile. I felt the cold, professional side of my brain activate immediately. Over dessert, the father of Naomi mentioned that his company required some external corporate consulting. Beatrice immediately moved like a predator, pulling out her elegant embossed business cards and fanning them across the white tablecloth. She then looked directly at me and loudly asked if I had any cards to offer the family. I had to look my son in the eye and admit that I possessed absolutely nothing. The wedding ceremony was absolutely beautiful, but the reception brought the real tension. I was seated at a distant table far away from the main action while Beatrice focused her attention on a distinguished older guest. I recognized the man instantly by his tailored suit and calm demeanor. It was Harrison Vance, the legendary chief executive officer that my sister had been using to validate her entire existence. Beatrice guided Harrison toward our table, clearly intending to finalize my social humiliation in front of the new in-laws. She raised her glass, flashed her most manipulative smile, and introduced me as the jobless sister who depended on family handouts. The entire table went completely silent as guests stared at me in awkward disbelief. I forced out a soft laugh, waiting for the inevitable wave of pity to wash over the room. Instead of joining the mockery, Harrison set his glass down on the linen cloth with extreme deliberation. He ignored Beatrice entirely, stepped forward, and extended his hand to me with immense respect. He looked me in the eyes and stated that he had been trying to track me down for 3 years to run his global strategy division. The smug expression on the face of my sister froze instantly into shock. Harrison explained to the stunned table that the core success of his firm was built entirely upon the operational framework I had authored. He told everyone that finding the brilliant mind behind that system had been his primary mission. He openly offered me a senior partner position right there on the spot. Julian looked at me with newfound awe, realizing that the mother he protected was actually an industry titan. I looked at Beatrice, whose face had turned completely pale as her corporate world shattered around her. I declined the immediate job offer but promised Harrison that we would discuss consulting terms after the honeymoon. Naomi smiled at me from across the room, validating the silent bond we had formed earlier. My sister spent the rest of the night hiding from the very executives she had tried to impress. As I watched Julian dance with his new wife, I remembered the wise words my mother spoke before her passing. She told me never to measure my worth by the room I occupied. Standing in that hall, I finally understood that my value was never tied to a corporate title or a business card. I had survived the worst loss and emerged whole, completely ready to design my own future.